it's Sam, and this is my March wrap-up. So this is the beginning of the bright lipsticks that I'm going to be wearing in spring and summer, so I'm interested to see how the color balance is going to work with this, because the brightness of my lips is going to start making the camera freak out, but I don't care, because I love them so much. So this month hasn't been the best reading month. The first part of the month was fine. I had the Readorama TBR, I had a week off of grad school so I could read and stuff, but then the last part of the month hit and I've been in a massive reading slump, so I didn't read as much as I would have liked this month. The first book that I read this month was Snow Like Ashes by Sara Raash. I've actually already done a spoiler-free review for this, so I will link that for you on the screen as well as down below. But this is a young adult fantasy. It's the first in a series. It is about our main character, Mira, and she lives in a world that has 4 season nations and 4 rhythm nations. And the season nations, as expected, all have one season that they're in constantly throughout the year. She is from winter, and about 16 years ago, her nation was destroyed by the Spring Nation and enslaved the majority of her population, but a few of them got out, including herself, obviously, and they are trying to rebuild the kingdom and get some of their magic back and everything else. So, as I said, I already done a full review on this, but I really enjoyed this. I gave it like 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star book, but I really enjoy the main character. She's kind of like a less cold version of Celaena Sardathian from the Throne of Glass series. I really enjoy her. She's very spunky. She's really believable. She doesn't have the kind of martyr syndrome that a lot of young adult protagonists have, and I also really enjoy the love interest in this. There is a love triangle, but I understand why there was a love triangle, and I like both people in a love triangle. So I really enjoyed this, and I'm really interested to see where the rest of the series goes. As I said, 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I picked up was The Winter's Crime by Marie Rutkoski. I feel like I've already talked about this a ton this month, but this is the second book in the Winter's Curse trilogy. I will link my spoiler-free review down below. It was really good. I can't say anything about it, obviously, but The Winter's Curse is set in a fantasy world as our main character, Kestrel, and in this world, when you turn 18, you can basically be drafted into the military or you can get married. She wants to do neither, but she happens to be the general's daughter, so she has all these expectations, but Kestrel is a very smart, very driven, intelligent, conniving character, and she ends up at a slave trade, at a slave auction, and she ends up buying this slave because of the connection they kind of have, and I don't want to spoil anything as far as that, but everything kind of takes off from there. So it's really awesome. There's so much more than that. The next book is completely crazy. If you have heard anybody talking about this series, it is really well written. It's really intense. So much is going on. I cannot believe I have to wait a whole year for the next book, and the last book, it's just, my heart. So definitely 5 out of 5 stars. The Winter's Crime was technically finished during Readorama, so the rest of these books are technically Readorama reads. The next book I picked up was Of Neptune by Anna Banks. This is the final book in the Serena Legacy trilogy. I buddy read this with Felicia from Little Prairie Library. I will link her channel down below. But this book wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be. I really love the first 2 books in the series. They're like 4-star books. They're fun, they're fast-paced. They are kind of nostalgic to me because they feel sort of like Twilight felt when I first read it. There's not the same themes and stuff as Twilight, but it just kind of feels like that. Very fast-paced, very easy to read. A lot of things going on, a lot of action, a lot of really funny characters. So I really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series, but this book wasn't quite what I wanted or expected or even needed. And basically the series is about mermaids, and like I said, really fun, but this book kind of didn't feel like it was necessary. I feel like the first 2 books could have sufficed. It could have been a duology and it would have been fine. I really didn't need the storyline that we got in this one. It felt a little redundant, and the storyline in this one didn't feel as important as in the first 2 books, so I ended up giving this one 2.5 to 3 stars maybe. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the fast-paced fun read that I was expecting. And I'm going to be doing a full spoiler-free and I think discussion/gush on this series at some point in the future, on the whole series, so look forward to seeing that. The next book that I picked up was The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson, and this is the first Jandy Nelson book that I have ever read, and I went into this not expecting much. I'm not a huge contemporary person, although that's kind of changing, and I just wasn't expecting much. This is about our main character who is grieving over the loss of her sister. You found out on the first page that her sister has passed away about 2 months ago, very tragically, and that she's kind of reeling from that. So it's basically her story and the story of her family and how they're grieving and the things that happen, and there is like love interest and stuff in there. I have already filmed a spoiler-free review for this, so it'll be going up later on in April. Really loved this. It was not what I expected. The characters in this are what really make it. They are so complex and real, and you get a sense of all of them. Although I didn't understand a lot of the things that Lenny did a lot of times because she's grieving, and the grief process for people is completely different for a ton of people, and I've never had the experience of losing like a sibling or anything. It was so well done though. I could put myself in her shoes. I loved all the characters. They were all complex. None of them were perfect. They were all flawed human beings. I loved it. I loved the family interactions. I loved the romantic interactions. I loved the friendship interactions. It really has something for everyone. It ripped my heart out. It made me laugh. It was so good. It was so good. So I understand the hype for Jandy Nelson now, and I plan on reading I'll Give You the Sun, which I also have on my shelf, very soon. Whenever I need kind of one of these kinds of books, I'll be picking it up. So I found out that I do like contemporary that deals with a little more of these kind of deeper, darker issues, but it's nice to have the kind of fun stuff sprinkled in there too. I really enjoyed this book. Definitely 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I finished this month, which is actually after Readorama, I started in Readorama but really just couldn't push through, and that was To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is a young adult contemporary, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It's very popular. Basically, our main character writes love letters to every boy that she feels that she's loved before. And it's just basically guys that she's had crushes on. There's 5 in total, and she leaves them in a box under her bed, and one day the box gets sent out, and things kind of unfold from there. But it's really not even about that, because that makes it sound like it's very, very romance heavy. I feel this deals with more family dynamics. Her sister has recently gone away to college, and they are a very tight-knit family, and it's really kind of about the loss of her sister in a way. I mean, even though she hasn't lost her sister hasn't died. It's just her kind of middle child syndrome and losing her older sister who has basically taken part in raising her, and a lot of these kind of dynamics. So it's really more focused on family dynamics, I think, than anything else. So it was kind of hard to read, actually. I couldn't really get very invested in it at times. I liked it when I was reading it, but I didn't love it necessarily. I found her main character a little bit immature, and she did things where I just wanted to kind of like shake her, but at the same time it was realistic for a teenager, I think. When I put it down, I didn't really want to pick it back up again, but when I did pick it back up, I wanted to keep reading. It's a really weird situation, but I did like the family dynamics. I think it was a little bit too similar with this like sister bond as The Sky Is Everywhere, so it was like two similar back-to-back stories, even though they deal with different things. There was things that felt similar, and then I felt that The Sky Is Everywhere did better. But again, they're not similar books. It's hard to explain, but I will be doing a review on this. I enjoyed this book. The ending has a bit of a cliffhanger because this is going to be a duology. The next book's coming out sometime in the next couple of months, and I now want to know what's going on. It was a cliffhanger ending, which I wasn't expecting and I'm not used to with contemporaries, so I'm interested with that. I think I'm going to give this about a 3.5 to 4 stars. There were things I had problems with. I wasn't super invested, but then I kind of was. I don't really know. I read this a while ago, and I'm still not really sure where I stick it. But I do plan on continuing with this duology. I'm interested to see what happens in the last book. So those are all the books that I completed this month, but then I hit a massive reading slump right after I finished To All the Boys I Loved Before. It's not a book hangover. That book didn't cause it. It's just I can barely pick anything else up. I'm watching some TV, I've been doing other things because I've just been embracing the reading slump. I did start reading A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I'm about 200 pages in. It's about a 400-page book, I believe. I'm liking it. I just can't motivate myself to pick it up. It sucks because I know that I'd be just loving this book if I was in a reading mood, but I can only read like 10 pages a day. I can read like maybe 2 chapters. I'm trying to push through. I don't know what it is, but I'm really liking this so far. I'll be talking about it more next month. Hopefully I get out of my reading slump. Prayer circle for me, guys. Like, I don't know. I'm so reading slumpy, it's making me so upset. So comment down below, let me know your favorite read from this month, and also if you've been in a reading slump. I've been talking to a lot of people who've been in reading slumps this month, so maybe there's something in the air. I don't know what it is. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!